You can't run away from your problem. There's a documentary I was watching about Skid Row, Los Angeles. Skid Row, Los Angeles is like one of the poorest, most horrible place to live in Los Angeles. Los Angeles, which is like the most, one of the most richest place to be in the world. Hollywood. But not far from Hollywood, there is Skid Row. So you cannot run from your problem. The thing is, the reason you can't run from your problem is you can't run away from your shadow. You can't run away from yourself. So when you refuse to develop yourself, you take your problem with you wherever you go. Wherever you go, your problem comes with you. Just like a man cannot escape its shadow. You cannot escape your problem. They always say this. The only thing you can change is you. When you change yourself, your environment change. When you change yourself, things begin to change around you. When you become the best version of yourself, life begins to offer you the best version of yourself. If you can earn £5 an hour, you can earn £6 an hour. If you can earn £6 an hour, you can earn £7 an hour. And how do you attain that? You don't wait for the minimum wage to keep changing. No, you build on your skill, you work on yourself, you acquire new skill, new goal, new understanding, new intention. So wherever you go, this is America, like the promised land. And there's some people living in tents, living in the worst public toilet. People being paid to use public toilet in America, the promised land where everyone wants to run to. Why? But because when you refuse to solve and look into yourself, when you refuse to question yourself, when you refuse to look yourself and grow, life will always go with you wherever you go. Wherever you go, you're just carrying your sack of problem, like they say, sack of balls. You're just carrying your sack of problem and you put it down and it start all over again. So the problem is not about life, it's not about your destination. The problem is about you. When you refuse to grow, life refuses to change for you. When you start to change, life begins to change for you. Unless you change, nothing around you changes. They say find out what successful people do and do it. On the same hand, find out what poor people do and never do it. Never do it. I've been fortunate around to come from poverty. Yes, I say that. Fortunate around to come from poverty. So I've learned, and I've been fortunate enough to learn to be around rich people. And I see what they do. Nothing comes from just sheer luck. There is graft, there is hard work, there is hours and hours of input. But at the same time, I've been around to be poor people and they just let life pass them by. They fold their hands and depend on life, depend on the environment, complain and complain. I've been fortunate around to be a lot of rich kids and then the poor kids. Some of these kids is not their fault. The parents don't know better. But I tell you, this is how it is. When you refuse to grow, when you refuse to invest in your future, you begin to pay the price in future, which is so costly. It actually takes people's life. The price of not investing in yourself today is so costly that it actually takes people's life. So I'm saying to you, Skid Row, you cannot run from your America. This is Skid Row, America. Skid Row in Los Angeles. It is like it's worse than the one of the worst. It's almost the same situation as a refugee camp in Somalia. This is Skid Row in America, almost the same state as a refugee camp in a failed state. So therefore, and there are people living there, living in a tent, no good water to drink. So you cannot run from your problem. You have to sit down and face your problem. You have to learn from people's experience. Read books, ask questions, attend classes. How else will you learn from about economics, communication? They say communication is linked to 85% of people's success is linked to communication. How else will you learn to do that? Not everyone is opportune to go to the best school, come from the best area. Be associated with the best people in your life, has the best opportunity. But when you refuse to invest in yourself, then that is your own fault. They say every single person is born ignorant. And some people are lucky enough to come from a family which can educate them. And some people are lucky enough or fortunate enough to come from family where no one's has ever gone through that. So it's up to you, once you can understand the freedom that lies within you, to start investing in yourself. They say another thing is those who have the most hours in the world are those who actually do nothing. They have so much time in their hand, but they actually do nothing. Those are the people you find down the pub, down the joint, you know, down every corner, every nook and cranny, down in the park in the morning. They have so much time. Those are the same people who you go to their house is like more so dirty than dirtier than every other person. But you ask what they're doing. They have all the times in their hand, but they've refused to invest in themselves. But when you stop cleaning yourself, stop dressing yourself, then that start reflecting in your life gradually, step by step. So if you don't labor, work, read, and invest in your youth, you will pay the price in your old age. You will pay the price in your old age. You wouldn't be able to retire in some island on some yacht, see the places. No, you would pay the price in your old age. Don't spend your life blaming others. We all have the same opportunity, the same time of day. No one has more than 24 hours in the day. We all have just 24 hours in the day, regardless of who you are. You are only entitled to 24 hours in the day. Now, what you do with that day is what determines your future. It's totally up to you how you invest in that day. We all just like corn or plant or seed. We are given the same amount of seeds. Some people decide to harvest or to plant the seed, and some people just leave their seed out to dry out in the sun. So whatever you do with the seed you are given, it's up to you. Some invest in the seed, and some decide to just leave it in the concrete. And the seed that's left in the concrete will be dried out and die and killed by the sun. But that who has person who has decided to plant its own seed, like borrow the soil, put the seed in, cover it with soil, water it, they would definitely would see their seed grow to harvest. You plant 2 seed of corn, you get probably like 4 sweet corn on the cobs. When you refuse to invest yourself, you refuse to grow, you start to die. So I'm just taking this back to tell you, regardless of what you try to run to, your problem is with you. Your problem will go with you. It might be green on the other side just for a little bit until you start to understand, like, no, I have to do more. I've seen those who actually crossed the Sahara Desert from Africa to Europe, like going through all the worst things in their life, some dying and losing their life in the Sahara. There are actually more people who never make it to Europe, who set out on the journey to cross to Europe. They never actually make it to Europe than there are those who make it to Europe. Most people die in Libya where they get prostituted, sold for slavery. Most die in the Sahara Desert. They are. Do you know that when people trying to cross the Sahara Desert, they actually purchase 20 liters of water? Sometimes the journey takes 5 months, and at the end of that journey, they're drinking other people's urine. Do you actually know that? That some people spend weeks, months not actually having any food to eat, but to drink other people's urine, not actually their own urine. They run out of water, they run out of urine, they can only drink other people's urine. That's how hard some people have to leave their home and try and survive in another land. And some never make it. They go through all that process and get returned back to their base, and only to find out that they are actually, if they have started to work on themselves where they are, if they have started to invest in themselves where they are, regardless of their condition, never trying to blame other, life would have become much better for them. They would never have gone all through that. So some people have made it in Europe and they are in the worst place. They're willing to go back home. Some people have made it in America. Their life is taken over by drugs. I personally know more than 3, 4, 5 people who have been sent back to wherever they came from because of drug. They've gone through all the journey, made it over to wherever they think they would succeed, and now they've been taken over from drug. Why? They never invested in themselves. That's what I'm telling you. Skid Row, America. Go look it out. It's in Los Angeles. Worse than any IDP camp you can see in Nigeria, in Somalia, in Central African Republic, in Congo. This is in America. Skid Row. Worse than most refugee camps. Why? Because people are trying to run away from the problem. People are not trying to face their problem head on. People are not trying to grow themselves. They said, labor and work in your youth. Invest in yourself. For the reward of investing in yourself, it's a fortune compared to the immediate momentary reward of passing time, enjoying drugs. I heard now they said like there are more girls in Africa doing drugs than the guys. The girls are actually now doing harder drugs than the guys. I was watching a conference the other day where they're saying the statistics now is overwhelming. The amount of young girls going into drugs is actually insurmountable. Can you imagine that? The people who are going to be raising the next generation. Before it used to be just the men, but now we have the men and women into drugs, into all sorts of things, into social media live. No one has a foundation anymore. We all full of forms. We all human full of form. That's all we actually do now. Form. When we stop treating our problem, we stop trying to fix ourselves, when we stop trying to grow, we start declining. Then we get to a stage where we're trying to run. We're trying to carry our problem to a new location, only to start over again. The thing about discipline is it increases self-worth. When you start to discipline yourself, your self-esteem starts to increase. You start to grow. You start to neglect all the gossip, all the side talk. You start to have an intention. You said when people are having a conversation with you, you say, I'm coming. Don't you hate those people when you're having a conversation with them? They say, I'm sorry, I have something to do. You hate it. Why? Because they know they have something more important to do than to engage in that conversation with you. You hate those people. That's because they have a goal. They have a plan. They have set out what they have to do for that. They can't spend their time involving in some pointless gossip about anything, anyone. No, you cannot escape yourself. If you don't work on yourself in Lagos, you would be that same person in Los Angeles. If you don't work on yourself in Los Angeles, you would be that same person in New York. Wherever you are, set down your basket and start investing in yourself. Start patching up your basket. Trying to become able to hold water. That's what it is. If a basket cannot hold water in Lagos, that same basket cannot hold water in Los Angeles. If a basket can't hold water in France, that same basket cannot hold water in UK. You can now take you can't take a basket from that can hold water in France and suddenly now it can hold water in UK. No, a basket is always a basket. If you fix the basket in Lagos, it will do the same job in New York. So fix yourself. Fix yourself. If you focus on growing yourself, you will become productive wherever you go. When other people are asking for a job, you are providing a solution. When other people are running helter skelter, you are providing job for people. Why? Because you have decided to grow yourself. You have decided, I'm not going to become Skid Row America. I am going to become an employer of people. I'm not going to be seeking a job or a career. I have a calling, and I would give people employment, and people will rely on me. When you decide to become one of the few, the 3%, those who make things happen, those who ask why,